I realized it was way harder than I thought to express myself while I was trying to video myself. So I've decided to start by doing more podcast-like videos because I find that it's way easier to express myself this way. So I kind of want to start by giving a little background about myself so that everything that follows and the rest of the videos I make a little bit more sense. So basically, I've always been really, really fascinated by human behavior. I've always been interested in why people do what they do, and I've also had a pretty keen intuition since the time, since I was really young, since I can remember, and I've always had a really good ability to read people. Because of this, I kind of always knew I wanted to do something along the lines of psychology. I was never really sure what, but I did know that this is what I wanted to study in school because really it's the only thing that ever interested me in school. So, I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in the field of psychology. And after I graduated, from grad school, I worked as a therapist in the prison system, and I also worked as a therapist in a treatment center where we treated mood disorders such as anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. We treated eating disorders and all different kinds of addiction. So in school and while I was working in these places, I always had like this horrible feeling every day because I wanted to help heal the people I was working with so badly. But I truly felt like, and I saw firsthand, that typical textbook therapy just does not work. I realized how freaking backwards our mental health system is. So it was around this time that I realized I couldn't do this any longer. I couldn't try to fit the mold of a typical therapist because it went against a lot that I believed in. And if you know me, you know I'm not a person who can just go through the motions of something. So needless to say, I got to a point where I had to quit my job because working in it was too inauthentic. And to be honest, I kind of just felt like it was a waste of my time. I wasn't fulfilled because I didn't feel like I was actually helping these people change their lives. So first of all, I feel like most therapies that are taught in school just don't go deep enough. They don't get to the root of the issue. And if they do, I don't think that they are formulated to clear the root. I also feel like people who are diagnosed with mental illnesses are treated like criminals. Basically, they're treated like something is seriously wrong with them. And the problem with this is that when we convey the message that something is seriously wrong with you to people, they adopt this belief and it lessens the chances of them healing by like 1,000,000%. And what frustrates me the most is that in a profession where it's supposed to be okay and acceptable to feel emotions, medications are being pushed onto everyone to make them stop feeling emotion. It makes no sense to me. And not only that, but the medications that are being pushed on these people rarely work, and the side effects that come from them are a whole other issue that I won't even get started on right now. So, as I mentioned in my last video, around this time last year, I was going through some of my own hardships. So this is when I decided to dedicate my time to finding a healing approach that actually worked, not only for myself, but I wanted to find an approach that worked so that I could use it to heal the people that I work with as well. So throughout the past year, I have fortunately found something that resonates so deeply with me, and it's something that I know works because I used it on myself. And it's called shadow work or inner child work. And I talk a lot about this, but I'll just kind of review what this is again for those of you that might not know. So basically, our shadows are stored in our unconscious mind. This means we're not aware of them, and most of our shadows are formed in childhood. So basically, we're born into a society in which something called socialization occurs. Socialization is learning what to do in order to fit into society to be accepted. So as we grow up, we have to adhere to social and family norms and what is socially acceptable to be seen as good, and to be given love and affection from the people around us. So the problem with this is that as this process occurs and takes place, we learn from our family or from others that some innate parts of us, some things that we're born with that are part of our personalities are not acceptable or they're bad. Another way to look at this is to say that we are conditionally loved. We're loved with condition. If we act one way, we receive love. And if we act another way, love is kind of denied from us. And because of this, we start to reject the parts of ourselves that are not seen as acceptable. And we do this so much so that when we get older, we sometimes forget that these parts of ourselves ever existed. As humans, our number one need is love, acceptance, and belonging. So in order to feel these things when we're younger, we learn that we can't be just who we are, but we have to be a certain way. We have to fit a certain mold for society or for our family. And as a result of this, we feel as though we're not whole because we aren't. Basically, we lose a part of ourselves in this process. So shadows are the aspects of ourselves that were not acceptable. Another way that shadows can be formed is by unhealthy ways that our caregivers treated us and by trauma that we've been through. And when I use the word trauma, a lot of times we think about really traumatic things like sexual abuse or intense physical abuse, but trauma can be really, really minor or really, really serious. So trauma can mean a lot of different things, and we've all experienced some sort of trauma. And so these unhealthy experiences manifest into harmful core beliefs that we carry around with us and that we play out throughout our lives as we get older. So due to the law of attraction, we attract people and experiences into our lives that are a vibrational match or a mirror, a reflection of our shadows that we're carrying around with us. I'll give you an example. Maybe it will help make this more understandable. So if when you were younger, it was not acceptable in your family to feel or express anger, then you would have learned to push your anger down and ignore it. So now that you're older, you might attract a partner into your life that expresses a lot of anger. And if this is the case, it will be really, really difficult for you to deal with because this anger is a part of yourself that you rejected a really long time ago. Another example is, so if you developed a core belief when you were younger that you are not enough, then as you get older, you're going to attract people and experiences into your life that make you feel even more like you're not enough because this is one of your shadows that hasn't been cleared yet. Now, this isn't some evil trick that the universe plays. It's actually the universe trying to show you. It's the universe trying to communicate with you what you need to work through. It's actually doing you a favor if you can learn to perceive it like this. So in shadow work, we bring the shadows from the unconscious mind to the conscious mind through working together. And then once you're conscious of your shadows, then the work can be done to heal it. So it's kind of like a plant. If you pull a plant up or a weed up and you don't get the root, then it's going to keep growing back. So it's the same thing with our emotions and with things that are going on in our lives, and our shadows. If we don't get to the root of where it comes from and remove it from the root, then it's going to keep showing up in our lives. So I know that I always talk about the law of attraction. So I want to explain what this is before I go into why feeling your emotions fully is so important, because I think it's important that everyone understands what the law of attraction is first, so that we're all on the same page. So our universe operates according to the law of attraction. Everything that's on this earth, everything that's physical, is made up of energy. And that energy vibrates at a certain frequency. So when you hear people say, she has a good vibe, she has a bad vibe, this is actually what they're referring to. They're referring to the person's vibration, because you can feel the vibration. So you can only attract things, people, experiences into your life that vibrate at the same frequency that you vibrate. This is why there's that quote that goes around on social media that I always see that says, your vibe attracts your tribe, because the way you vibrate is what you attract. Now, your vibration is determined by your emotions. So when you have emotions that are uncomfortable or don't feel good, such as anxiety or jealousy, this is an indicator that your vibration is lower. When you have an emotion that feels good, such as gratitude or joy, this is an indicator that your vibration is higher. That being said, it might sound like it might sound like if you have negative emotions, it would be in your best interest to push these away and try not to feel them so that you can have a higher vibration. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like this, because you can't trick the universe. So even if you put on a happy face and you convince people on the outside that you feel okay, the universe only responds to what's going on inside. So if you push down or push away your negative emotion, the universe still responds to that negative emotion. So you're still going to attract things into your life that are a vibrational match to that negativity. So from here, I want to talk about the importance of truly feeling your emotions and not pushing them down or ignoring them, which a lot of us do. And like I said before, even the mental health system encourages this, and it's so detrimental for so many reasons. So first of all, I want you to get rid of the idea that there will ever be a time in your life that you feel completely happy or reach a point of complete enlightenment and have no more issues, because this will never happen. So the purpose of life is emotional and spiritual growth, or in other words, the purpose of life is expansion. We can't grow or expand without hardships. So no one grows from being completely content. We grow, if you think about this, you only grow when you're hurting or when something isn't working and you have to figure out a new way of being or a new way to do something. So life is a constant wave. The lows are the time for growth, and the highs are the time to apply what you learned during that time of growth. And this cycle keeps going. So it's about looking at life from this perspective. When you're feeling down or you're feeling negative emotions, recognizing that this is your period of growth. It's like growing pains, like when you're younger and you're physically growing and it hurts so bad. It's the same thing with emotional and spiritual growth. I think most of you know the saying, what you resist persists. So if we try to resist our emotions, we're just going to get more of what we don't want or what we're resisting. And a lot of us have been resisting our emotions for a really long time. Growing up, we may have not had people in our lives who are comfortable handling negative or uncomfortable emotion. So when we felt bad, we were ignored or punished or yelled at or made fun of. So at a really young age, we learned that it is not okay to feel bad. So as adults, we have to relearn how to feel our uncomfortable emotions. See, our emotions are our innate guidance system. They're our compass. They are like our biggest tool for life. When we feel a negative emotion, it's an indicator that we are doing something that is going against our intuition, or we're doing something that is not in our best interest. When we feel a positive emotion, it's an indicator that we're doing something that is in line with what our intuition has guided us to do, and that we're doing something that is in our best interest. And when we follow our intuition, we can only be led to more happiness. So not using our emotions and not feeling our emotion is like taking a map or a compass away from someone who's lost in the woods. I don't like to refer to emotions as good or bad because I don't think emotions are good or bad. They're just guidance. So uncomfortable emotions are just your higher self crying out to you for growth. I'm not saying to wallow in your negative emotions, but what I want you to be able to do is to clearly name the emotion that you're feeling and understand why it's there and understand where it comes from. If you can figure out what the lesson is in the negative emotion, and if you can figure out maybe how you went against your intuition or against what was in your best interest to feel this emotion, this is your chance for growth. This is your chance to change how you do things next time. So your emotions just want your attention. They just want you to have a better understanding of yourself. So if you can use them as your guidance system, you save yourself from a lot of pain and you save yourself from attracting more negativity into your life, because once you understand your emotions and learn the lesson that they're trying to teach you, you clear the emotion so that you're not carrying it around with you anymore. And when you're not carrying this around with you anymore, you can't attract more negativity into your life. Also, if you find that there is a common uncomfortable emotion that you feel, maybe jealousy is one that comes up a lot, or maybe fear is one that comes up a lot. This is where shadow work and inner child work come in as well. So how do we know if we're pushing our emotions away or if we're ignoring them? Because some of us have been doing this for such a long time that it's kind of second nature. We don't even really realize that we're doing it anymore. So one way to know if you're doing this is to take a look at your relationships. So when we push away our emotions, we tend to project these emotions onto other people. So if you look at the things that you blame others for, a lot of times this is related to the emotions that you're trying to resist within yourself. Also, anxiety. A lot of times when we feel anxious, we don't allow ourselves to, a lot of times we start to feel anxious when we don't allow ourselves to just sit with and feel exactly what we're feeling. So when we start to push away what we're really feeling, anxiety comes up. And so it's so important to sit with and understand and name your emotions so that you no longer attract things and experiences and people into your life that are a match to these uncomfortable negative emotions. And instead, once you clear them, you can start to raise your vibration, and that changes your whole reality. It changes all of the things that you start to attract into your life.